Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Saul Rodas, and today I'll be speaking about this aviation pin. Now, show of hands, how many here have parents that migrated to the US? The reason I point that out is because this pin actually holds this journey that my father took in order for him to come here. Um, it also features the Central American Civil War. Show of hands, how many have heard of the Central American Civil War? Or have actually seen Voces Inocentes, in English, Innocent Voices. It's actually featured on Netflix, so I strongly suggest you guys watch it. But basically, what happened was that in El Salvador, there was two powers that there was two groups that wanted power within the government. It was the government versus the guerrilleros, and so the reason why I bring that up is because my father, at age 26, he became an agriculture pilot, and so my grandfather actually handed this to him, and I carry it because I feel like because I'm also taking flight classes at the same time, and so going back to my father, he received this aviation pin after he graduated, and a few years after, he actually started receiving letters from the government saying to join them to fight the guerrilleros. And so this letter actually, he would actually just toss them around and not actually put a lot of importance to it. And so what happened was that I think it was 2 months after, that he received a letter that said if he did not join the government, his family would face consequences. And so what happened was that my father decided to migrate to the U.S. so that he could avoid that. And he says that one of the things that he actually holds accountable for is this aviation pin. As I covered the Central American Civil War, I will then continue to make the connection with this aviation pin. My father actually, he wanted, even though he left his home country in order to come to the U.S., he actually did that so that he could have his family safe. And so at the same time, he had to leave his aviation career in El Salvador. So now he actually wants his children to pursue that same career, which brings me to the next point. And in fifth grade, I began taking flight classes in Compton Woodley Airport, and so I still haven't received my flight license, only because I'm in the process of actually taking or completing the course. But when I was in fifth grade and the first time I flew my plane, first Cessna plane, my father actually handed this to me, and he, with tears, he told me that he was proud of seeing his son become or getting following those same footsteps that he did. And this pin, I feel like this pin represents sacrifice and freedom and all the challenges he went through. I want to show a visual. Can I have a volunteer? When I actually was when I was doing the research and actually organizing my speech, my father gave me this visual that actually brought a huge impact to me. Extend your arms. My father says that both arms right here represent freedom, and he feels that in your belly button, that's where you receive your thoughts of like optimism. And so he says that when he was in Central America, he felt that the government, or at least these letters, were covering his freedom, his optimism. So by doing so, can you see where you're okay? So he feels like because this was being clogged up, make your arm stiff, hard for me to bring it down. He says that the government was actually plugging it up, and that's creations. It's actually hard to read down. Right? Sorry about that. I'm sorry. It's actually hard for what happens is that if I extend her arms and she stiffs them up, it's actually hard for me to bring it down. So he feels that that was him before the whole government complications occurred. So he feels that when he received that letter that said join us or your family's gonna fear consequences, he felt that his act of freedom was being clogged up. So that actually meant that his freedom, thank you very much, his freedom was actually being increased. So having said that, we learned the rich history behind this pin and how it cultivates an increased sacrifice that my father went through. I talked about the Central American Civil War and how it made a huge impact to my father, and hopefully, and ultimately, we must appreciate the things that our parents did in order for us to receive an education, to be in college, and I strongly suggest that we do take advantage and feed off each other's ambition, compete, but like in the sense that we each prosper. And I wear this to show that someday I'll become a pilot and make my dad proud.